gang. Your whip so cold. This whole thing. Act like you ever be around like this again. Who's your girl?
Now, once upon a time, there was the meanest and baddest Crip in the business, and his name was DeAndre Canticleer. Now, otherwise known by his true homies as DC. Now, DC grew up in the bad streets of Harlem. That's Harlem, New York. And he's seen some mad, messed up stuff. But he came out as the baddest Crip there was. Now, when you're the baddest Crip there ever was, you get all the ladies. He had Keisha, he had Chandra, and finally, he had his main boo, LaQuisha Pantalone. Now, LaQuisha was the finest foxy mama you ever see in this hood. And DC knew it, and he was proud of it. Now, dreams are some real scary stuff to everybody. Now, DC doesn't usually have dreams, because the scariest things in life have already happened to him. However, this time was different. He woke up in a cold chill, freaking out, wondering for his life. And he asked Pantalone if he was okay. And LaQuisha Pantalone, she told him, he said, everything's okay, everything was okay. What happened? And that's when DC starts talking. He says he had a dream that a Blood, the rival gang, had came in on his territory and stole him and killed him. Now, and this terrified him because though he would never admit it, he was scared of the Bloods, because the Bloods, just like the Crips, ain't scared of nothing. And they were not afraid of taking out DC. Well, Pantalone, she said it's just a dream and everything will be okay. And DC said, all right. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. Now, 2 days after that dream, DC was doing his normal business on the court, because you gotta make the paper somehow. Now, after he was done doing his business, he was gonna ball it on the courts, because everyone knows that when DC was at public school, he was the #1 baller at Martin Luther King Junior High School. Now, however, he was interrupted by a stranger. Now, this stranger says to him, he says, yo, my name is Jamil Foxy Brown, but you can call me Fox. And Fox says, he says, I'm the #1 baller in this area, and I challenge you, DC. Now, DC was proud of how good he was at basketball, and he said, challenge accepted. And he said that he was gonna wipe the floor with Fox. Now, Fox said, if you beat me, DC, I got a pair of new Air Jordans in the back of my truck. And if you win, you'll get my Air Jordans. Now, DC said, deal. And the game was on. Now, DC got first ball. Alright, and he showed his true mad dribbling skills against Fox. And he went everywhere which way, and then he shot the shot, and he nailed it in his eye. And the Fox was not here for that. Oh, and there was some pushing and shoving. This was a heated game, but it was for pride and a pair of Air Jordans. Now Fox got the ball, and he thought he could beat him up. And he went boom, boom. It was blocked by DC. And DC said, I have none of that. And this game went on for a good while. And it closed out. DC, oh, and he went between the legs, and he jammed it home for the win. And with that, DC and the rest of Harlem knew. The rest of Harlem knew that the true bowling champ was DC. Now Fox had to live up to his side. And they headed to his truck to get himself some new Air Jordans. Now, DC was pumped to get his new Air Jordans. And as they headed towards the truck, the Fox told him, he said, hop in the back, they'll lay in there for you. And DC said, show, man, that sounds great. And then all of a sudden, he sees the Fox has got the red on, the color of the Bloods. And then he looked down, and he sees he don't got Air Jordans, they're Pumas. And then the car started going, and he's being kidnapped. He is being kidnapped. Now, the rest of the hood was freaking out. and they started chasing after him. They said, hurry, we gotta save DC, we gotta save DC. And then all of a sudden, the fox kept going, and they were going all through Harlem, all through different alleys in the streets, and DC was trying to get him to stop, but the fox wouldn't. The fox wouldn't stop. And that's when DC figured out if he doesn't do something soon, his dream will come true. And so he figured out he had to trick the fox. And he tells the fox, Fox, you ought to do a celebratory laugh, to laugh at everyone in the crib gang, to make sure they know that the Bloods won. And the fox thought this was a genius idea. And so the fox decided he would do a victory circle. And when he did the victory circle, that is when he decided DC had to escape. Now, this is when DC decided he had to make a jump for it. This was his only opportunity to get free. And so he took it. And he escaped. Now, the moral of this story is, number one, don't be in a gang. Number two, don't sell or do crack. And number three, and most of all, never ever trust a flatterer. Peace.
We're gonna skate to one song only.